Life is run on relationships. It's the same here. Likability counts. You got to be likable. Therefore, get to know people. Get to know people, know them, know where their offices are, where their seat is. Get to know them on a personal level. In the cafeteria, don't sit alone. And it's one of the biggest temptations in the workplace. Typically, when you get hired, the first time you go for lunch is typically your work colleagues will take you out for lunch, right? Your boss will be there and your team members will be there. Try not to break that. You don't be a standalone kind of fountain. Be where people are and try to get to know people. In this episode, we are going to talk about a very exciting topic, and that is how to make a good first impression within the first 30 days that you get employed. And I'm talking about the first time of being employed, right? The very first 30 days, we call it a honeymoon period. How do you make a great first impression? Because it's so important. The key is, if you make a bad impression of yourself, you leave a very negative tag on you as a person, and it will end up affecting your ability to work in that environment or in that company. That could get you fired. I've seen that happen to people, and it's sad when you witness it. So these are the things that you are going to be doing. I'm going to share 10 tips that would help you develop an amazing impression, or actually leave an amazing impression on your work colleagues and your superiors. Right. So let's get in there. Some time back, I used to work for an organization, and one of the things that I noticed was that this guy, I think it was My Travel by then, the company was called My Travel at that time, and this gentleman basically came into the company, and within a very short time, he worked in the accounts payable division. And one of the things I noticed that, yes, he was likable and everything, but in a very, very short time, he did something. He cut corners, and that landed him in big trouble. And not only was he fired, they actually got police involved because he falsified invoices that he was processing for his superiors, right? He falsified invoices and tried to basically do unethical things like steal what do you call it? Actually, one thing that he did, just put in perspective, it was just so terrible that he was hired, he came in, started working in accounts payable, and when the big bosses run expenses, he's the one who processes that expense. And in doing so, he was able to, for whatever reason or how he was able to do it, only God knows. He was able to falsify things and begin to run expenses, his own personal expenses, on the company's account unauthorized. And he got caught and he got fired. I'm not saying that will happen to you, because yes, you are an ethical person, but there are other things that people can do that will set their career up wrongly. And that's what we are going to address within your first 30 days. And your first 30 days, super critical, because an honeymoon period, that's the period that when you make mistakes, people will, quote unquote, forgive you, or they'll be a little bit more forgiving, right? After that, your grace period starts to wane away. So the first thing that you need to do when you enter a workforce for the first time is dress appropriately. Dress well. Every company has their own dressing code, right? I would always say, follow the dress code guidelines, but top it up a notch. Always be well groomed. Be very cautious about body odor. These are basic things, but these things can actually repel you. I mean, they can actually cost you your career. They are very simple, but they can cost you seriously. So be very careful. If you're in an organization that dresses casually, yes, dress casually, but change your wardrobe, right? If you dress like I've dressed, make sure you come across neat, you smell good. That you don't even need to put on a cologne, but just make sure that you don't have any body odor. That is so crucial. The second thing is super important: develop friendships from day one. Get to know people. You go to, let's say, where if you work in an organization that they provide you, let's say, free coffee and free tea and those kind of things. You go to the coffee lounge, you will run into people. They don't know you. They see that you are new to the place. Go introduce yourself to them. Hello, my name is Isaac. I just joined this company, and I'm in this division. What about you? What's your name? And get to know their titles. Get to know what they do. Actually, if you can, get to know even some of the projects they are working on. The reason is that when you run into problems and you have built relationships, you would know who to run to. You would know, okay, wow, I'm working on this project and I'm actually stuck here, and I'm a little bit confused. So I know Eric. Eric told me that he's working in, let's say, the account management team, and he's working on X and Y account, and I'm actually doing something that touches that account. Let me just quickly rush to Eric and see if he could be a sounding board on this project that I'm working on. Life is run on relationships. It's the same here. Likability counts. You got to be likable. Therefore, get to know people. Get to know people. Know them. Know where their offices are, where their seat is. Get to know them on a personal level. In the cafeteria, don't sit alone. And it's one of the biggest temptations in the workplace. Typically, when you get hired, the first time you go for lunch is typically your work colleagues will take you out for lunch. Right, your boss will be there and your team members will be there. Try not to break that. You don't be a standalone kind of fountain. Be where people are and try to get to know people. The third one, very, very critical. Don't take your personal problems to work with you. Okay, everyone has personal problems in their homes or whatever, but the last place you'd want to take your personal burdens and problems and sharing it with everybody is the workplace. People, they may listen to you maybe on the first day. By the second day, they start getting it starts getting boring. By the third day, it starts getting irritating. So the key is you leave your personal problems at the door. Then you come to work with fresh energy, fresh passion, fresh zeal and desire. It's not that you are it's not that you are denying the fact that you have problems. Trust me, everyone has problems, including your boss. Personal. He or she may be going through probably a marital issue or a health challenge, but they don't tell you unless you're very, very close to them, or unless you have that relationship with them where you've moved from work colleague to become their friend or their confidant. If you are not that type, leave your work troubles at home. The next thing is avoid gossip. I've seen this thing. Oh my goodness. I've seen this thing practically in almost every organization that I've worked for in the past. Gossip exists at the workplace. Gossip, workplace politics, they all go hand in hand. The key is avoid them. I've heard of this adage or this saying that if you gossip with me, if I sit together with you and we sit and talk about somebody, guess what? My next gossip is going to be about you, right? So the key is gossiping is toxic. I have never done. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like talking behind people at their back. So the best thing you need to do when these things start, find a way to actually try to change the subject. If you can't, politely disappear from the scene. Politely come up with an excuse and just walk out of that place. Very soon people would get to know that Esther or Isaac or James or John, whoever your name is, doesn't do gossip. And people trust people who don't gossip. If you don't gossip, people will come to you. That's where people come to share their confidential information. Sometimes it's happened to me, right? I don't gossip. I don't talk about people. If you bring that, I will not participate. And because of my maturity and things that I showed in the workplace, sometimes I was surprised that even people who were higher than me sometimes will confide in me with very pertinent personal issues, and I would dare not even speak about it. Even not my wife would know. Right? So gossip, politics, no way. The next point is be punctual. Don't come to work just like everybody else, especially if you are working, and this goes to my friends who would get the opportunity as Africans to work in, let's say, Europe or in the States or in any developed country. There's already a target on your back, right? There's always that perception that if you're black or you're minority, typically you are lazy and you don't want to do any kind of work, that kind of thing. That perception hangs in there, right? It's a silent perception. You don't want to fulfill that prophecy. So you are going to come up with a super high work ethic. Approach work. If you can't at all, let's say 15 minutes early. 30 minutes early always helps. But if you can't, never come to work on time. Come to work before time. Never be the first person to leave. Else people will think that you're a clock watcher. People think you are lazy. You're just sitting there looking, okay, is it 5 o'clock? Ding, I'm out of here. No, you don't want to be that kind of person. Your lunch break, if your lunch break is an hour, try to find a way to minimize that. If you need to eat at your desk, eat at your desk. If you need to go hang out with your friends, if you need to go and eat at the cafeteria with your team, do go. I would encourage that. Right? Do go. If your team is there and let's say everybody is spending maybe an hour or an hour 15 minutes, you look at your clock at the 45-minute mark. Hey guys, I need to get back to my desk. I'm new here. I'm trying to learn, so I just use. I'm trying to find time anywhere to learn as much as I can. You jokingly say that, and there you go. What you have done is that you would leave an impression in your team's mind that wow, this guy is a really serious guy who really wants to help. Right. The next thing is that be helpful. Make yourself resourceful. I remember when I worked my first job that I did in England, and I was new. I didn't know nothing. Right. I didn't know nothing. Here I am, almost qualified as a professional chartered accountant, or for those guys in the US, the professional CPA. Right. I didn't know jack because everything I knew was theory. I didn't have any practical experience, So what I did is I would spend a lot of time before work and after work just learning as much as I can on the job. And once I did that for a while, because I was just entry level, I didn't have a lot of demanding tasks on me. My only problem was I needed to really catch up very quickly, and I did. And once I got to a certain level where I kind of knew my way around, I would finish my job. I was doing things like bank reconciliations and those things, basic stuff, right? Doing basic trial balances and things, basic reconciliations here and there. So once I did that for a while, I started approaching my friends. Hey guys, you are big guys. Do you have anything that you are doing that you would need help with? I always made myself available. I don't care if it's 4:45 and the office close. And work is supposed to end at 5 o'clock. I will go and talk to somebody. And typically it's the guys that have been chatting up, maybe at the cafeteria, or even sometimes even after using the restroom and I'm at the place. Washing my hands and that kind of thing. Somebody also comes out of the washroom and is also washing their hands. We just start getting into chit chat. Yeah, those kind of relationships. I go back to them and say, look, I think I have a little bit of bandwidth here. If there's anything that you're doing that you need help with, I'll be more than happy to help. And gladly, so a good number of my work colleagues, gave me work to do, right? And they were happy. And these guys, became my supporters when I had a little bit of longevity in the organization. These guys were my backers because they knew that I had great work ethic. The next point is, don't be a suck up. This is what I mean. Don't be a sycophant. Okay, there's always the tendency that as you start the work, you want to please people, right? There's nothing wrong in pleasing people, but it has to come across as genuine. Let me give you an example. So let's say you hate cats, right? And you go to dinner or to lunch with your colleagues, and they are talking about cats and how awesome cats are and blah blah blah, right? You in your heart know that you don't like cats. You are a dog, you like dogs, you don't like cats, and they are talking and everybody's praising cats and that kind of thing. And then when it got to your turn to say something, you all of a sudden you are praising cats. You all of a sudden you are a lover of cats. You are laughing when there's no humor. Nobody has cracked any joke, but you are laughing or smiling hysterically. That is fake. If you love cats, yes, let it be known that you love cats. If you do not love cats, let it be known that you love dogs. There's nothing wrong with you loving dogs and don't liking cats. Don't be a suck up. Be original. Be who you are. People will value you for who you are, not the pretense, because the pretense is going to be temporary. Right? Very, very soon you are going to be found out that you are fake. I heard this quote the other day from a conference that I attended a couple of weeks back. It says that you don't have to remember. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said yesterday. Let me repeat it. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said yesterday. It holds true. If you suck up and you are lying to suck up, 3 months down the road, another scenario will present itself when you are a little bit settled in the organization, and then your true nature will come up. That would say that what you said originally is way different from what you are saying now, which is 3 months from the original date, and people will not trust you. Right? The next point is do your job well. Do your job phenomenally well. Be exceptional. Be excellent. Execute everything with precision. Do your job well. Don't be lousy. Do things extremely well. When you are starting out in your career, in my opinion, quality trumps speed. Because you need to get people's comfort levels that you can do whatever you've been told to do. Quality. Take it, do the work, do it quick, do it fast, but do it well. And I would say quality trumps speed, so that your superiors and people around you know that with this gentleman, with Isaac or with John or with Kofi or whoever is, you can rely on their work ethic. Basically, you can rely on their work ethic. This is so important. This other thing, it can become a trap, because the moment they set you up and work, or everyone will be looking at you. So the next point, listen to this next point, is don't use company assets for your personal, I would say personal use. Right? I know I'm using use and using in the same sentence, but okay. Don't utilize. It's the same thing. Right? Don't utilize company's assets for your own personal gratification or personal use, personal desire. Example: you are new to a company. Even if it's a policy of the company, I would defer doing that for the first 6 months. For instance, using company's computer for social media browsing. Don't do that. Sometimes you will see people would have screens open, multiple screens open on their maybe laptops or their desktop, depend on the setup. And you see that they will leave a small window at the corner, maybe a right corner, left corner, maybe their Twitter feed or Instagram, or actually Instagram is more mobile. So I would say Facebook or any other social media platform, maybe a YouTube video, that kind of thing. They are kind of hiding. When somebody's coming, they just click the minimize button. And man, if you're new to the organization, that is basically a death sentence, right? You can't do that. You have to avoid using company assets. As even if the policy of the organization even allows for it, I would defer doing that until after 6 months. If I need to go on social, I would rather use my phone on my lunch breaks. Don't use company assets for your own personal use. And I think these tips, if you adopt them, it's going to set you up for a great career. Hey, before we run out, have another video that I want you to watch. This video I want you to watch is on this page. You see it on this page, anywhere, somewhere here on this page, right? It could be on the left or on the right. And it's your number one job requirement is to please your boss. That's the title of the video I want you to watch. Your number one job requirement is to please your boss. You'll find it very interesting. Thank you for your time. Bye.